And you might talk to Miscavige and some of the other Scientology property owners who've been buying up all the property downtown, and they could help out with that as well.
Clearwater has an elected board called the Downtown Development Board, or DDB, that is composed mostly of Scientologists. Yesterday evening, at the end of the monthly meeting of the DDB, Clearwater City Councilmember Mark Bunker admonished David Miscavige, as well as board member Ray Casano, for impeding development in downtown Clearwater. We're going to look at Mark's comments, we're going to look at the Scientologist response, and then I'll give you my thoughts. And actually, even before that, here is what board member Ray Casano said in his closing remarks that prompted the remarks from Councilmember Bunker.
I agree with all that. I also am waiting in anxiousness to see the construction finish up, Cleveland Street go all the way to the Shell station, and the $85 million waterfront, and all the buildings that are blocked off and finished. And the reason I'm kind of excited about it is I took a trip with my wife to Naples this weekend, and I went downtown, and I gotta tell you, it's a good model for us to look at and emulate as much as we can. The restaurants are fantastic. The art is all over the place. A lot of people coming from all over. And I kind of thought maybe someday that'll happen here, and I just can't wait for that to occur.
Okay, thank you, Ray. Not a very good public speaker, that guy. Doesn't Ray strike you as an individual who's easily distracted by shiny objects? Not the sharpest tack there. So they go around to the other board members doing the closing remarks. So Councilmember Bunker is not a member of the Downtown Development Board. 2 of the 5 Clearwater City Council members sit in on the DDB meetings as ex officio members. The City Council is an elected board. The Downtown Development Board is an elected board. Neither board has any oversight over the other. Council members being ex officio members of the DDB is really more of a gesture of goodwill. That being said, the 2 council members who do attend meetings of the DDB do get to make their own closing remarks. So here is what Councilmember Bunker had to say in his closing remarks.
I agree with Mr. Casano that it would be terribly exciting to see restaurants and businesses popping up here in Clearwater and downtown. You might want to lead the way by doing something about the eyesore that you hollowed out on Gulf today. That's been sitting there looking terrible for quite some time. You two came to us at the CRA to ask for money to do 16 apartment development. And that never came through. We gave the funding for it, and so far all we've done is tear apart the center core of the building. Lead by example and do something with that, and that will be a big help. And you might talk to Miscavige and some of the other Scientology property owners who've been buying up all the property downtown, and they could help out with that as well.
Oh, I want to say so much about this. But first, let's look at the response Councilmember Bunker got from a couple of the Scientologists on the board.
Yeah, I would just like to address your comments right there. As the ex officio members, you're invited to have a comment at the end. It should be relevant to the business of the Downtown Development Board and should not just be an ad hominem attack on a member of the board.
Does this guy look or sound familiar to any of the regular viewers of my channel? That is Paris Morphopoulos. He is the chairman of the Downtown Development Board. Check out this video from 22 years ago of Paris Morphopoulos having a somewhat different interaction on a sidewalk in Clearwater with now council member Mark Bunker.
Until you lose some weight, get the hell away from me, you know? Are you on your 50 Twinkie a day habit now or what? If you can't control your eating habits, Mark, what about your sexual habits? Where do they run to? Small children?
Fucking sick.
Huh? Animals? What is it, small barnyard animals?
What an asshole.
What does it for you? Little boys? I told you I don't want to be videotaped by you.
Then why approach me on a public street?
Because I want you to get the hell out of here.
What a guy, huh? I bet he never dreamed 22 years later Mark Bunker would be a Clearwater City Council member. Another one of the board members, Shahab Amrani, wanted to respond to Councilmember Bunker's remarks, so let's see what Mr. Amrani had to say.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to point out some of the falsities that some gentlemen here just spewed out. There's quite a bit of false information about that. I just want to put it on the record in case someone's listening. It was all lies.
I thought he said he wanted to point out the falsities. He didn't point anything out. He just said it's all lies. You know, Councilmember Bunker just pointed out that Ray Casano applied to the city of Clearwater for a $500,000 grant. He made a whole presentation to the city. I think I might have even done a video about it back in the day. Did a whole presentation to the city. It was this building that had been owned by Scientology for decades. Scientology let it fall into horrible disrepair. And then Ray Casano came along and bought it from Scientology. And then Ray went to the city and is like, can I have $500,000 to fix up this building? Never mind the fact that the organization that just sold it to him has billions of dollars. But anyway, the city's not allowed to discriminate. The city gave him $500,000, or at least earmarked it for him for the project based on his request. This was over a year ago. And since then, not only have they done nothing to the building, but they've basically half demolished it. And it's this giant eyesore right in the middle of downtown Clearwater. There's nothing non-factual about what Councilmember Bunker said with regards to Ray Casano and that property. And then he said, you might want to talk to Miscavige and the other Scientologists who are snapping up the property in downtown Clearwater. That is completely factual. It has been thoroughly documented by the Tampa Bay Times. And all Shahab Imrani can do is sit there and go, it's false. It's all lies. I just wanted to say that in case someone is watching. Someone being, of course, Daddy Miscavige, who's looking over their shoulder, watching all of these local meetings. David Miscavige is living in Clearwater right now for two reasons. One reason is there's a giant administrative, executive training evolution occurring throughout the world of Scientology that's happening right here in Clearwater, and Miscavige is here for it. But the other reason Miscavige is in Clearwater is because he's in the middle of negotiating a land swap deal with the city of Clearwater. Miscavige is personally handling the negotiations with Clearwater City Manager John Jennings. So Miscavige is paying very close attention to all the city council meetings. He's paying very close attention to the Downtown Development Board meetings. So of course the Scientologists cannot possibly permit Mark Bunker to make a critical statement about Miscavige without coming to his defense. In fact, the moment Councilmember Bunker says the name Miscavige, Paris Morphopoulos tried to jump in. Let's take another look at it.
And do something with that, and that will be a big help. And you might talk to Miscavige and some of the other Scientology property owners who've been buying up all the property.
They know Miscavige is watching this meeting. They know their asses are going to be on the hook if they do not come to the defense of Miscavige, to the defense of Scientology, if they don't confront and shatter the suppression of Councilmember Mark Bunker. By the way, I asked if regular viewers recognized Paris Morphopoulos, but do you guys also recognize Ray Casano? I featured Ray on this channel before. Here is Ray Casano saying that not only is he a Scientologist and a Christian, but in fact, most Scientologists are Christians.
Well, I am a Scientologist.
Yes.
I'm also a Christian. Most Scientologists are Christians.
That was actually at another meeting of the DDB. Before Mark Bunker was elected to the council, he was speaking at that meeting of the DDB, and Ray Casano said that. That was something Ray Casano said at a public meeting of an elected board. It kind of just goes to show you how dedicated Scientologists are to forwarding Scientology's propaganda in society every opportunity that they get. So let me just say that although I do believe downtown Clearwater will be able to see some growth, some prosperity, some success, given all the investments that the city is making into some initiatives downtown on the water bluff. Some huge development projects are occurring. The fact is, it does not look like Scientology is going to be slowing down at all in their attempts to completely take over and dominate downtown Clearwater. Clearwater's new city manager has fallen hook, line, and sinker for Miscavige's bullshit and PR and propaganda. Miscavige has convinced our city manager that for downtown Clearwater to succeed, it will be because of a partnership with Scientology, when the reality is that any success that downtown Clearwater has is going to be in spite of a relationship with Scientology. Many of you know I was running for Clearwater City Council. I haven't posted the video summarizing the election results, but here's what I'll say. First of all, I did lose the election. I came in second place. Scientology's candidate, Lena Teixeira, did win the election, but here's some highlights that I want to point out. There are 5 city council members. 4 of those 5 city council members were endorsed by Scientology. The only council member who wasn't is, of course, Mark Bunker. Mark has been on the front lines for decades exposing Scientology abuse, so of course he would not be endorsed by Scientology. But of the 4 other council members, and we're talking about Kathleen Beckman, Councilmember David Albritton, and Mayor Frank Hibbard, those 3 won their elections by such large margins that even though Scientologists were all instructed to vote for those folks, the Scientology vote was actually completely irrelevant in determining the outcome of those 3 elections. Lena Teixeira is the only sitting Clearwater City Council member, and actually the only city council member in Clearwater's history, who won their election specifically because of the Scientology vote. And I wouldn't want you guys to think that I'm just saying something about Lena behind her back that I wouldn't say right to her face. So here's what I had to say at a Clearwater City Council meeting after the election.
My daughter goes to that school, but that's not why I'm here. My name is Aaron Smith-Levin. I live at 1615 Harvard. Last month, for the first time in Clearwater's history, a city council candidate endorsed by Scientology won their election with a margin small enough that the Scientology vote itself was the determining factor in the outcome of the election. I'm referring, of course, to Lena Teixeira. 2 years ago, Scientology told all of its members to vote for Kathleen Beckman and Frank Hibbard. Last month, Scientology told all of its members to vote for David Albritton and Lena Teixeira. Kathleen Beckman, Frank Hibbard, and David Albritton all won their elections with sufficient margin that the Scientology vote was completely irrelevant in the outcome of those elections. Only Lena Teixeira was so unpopular with Clearwater voters that the Scientology vote itself accounted for more than her entire victory. That has never happened before. In last month's election, overall voter turnout was down 36%, which is not unexpected for our midterm municipal elections. However, Scientology voter turnout was up by at least 14%. The reason we're able to know this is because Scientology Sea Org members all share the same handful of addresses. We can track the voting history of everyone registered to vote at those addresses and extrapolate from there to include the public Scientologists as well. That is more than a 50-point swing in the voter turnout between Scientologists and non-Scientologists in our last election. A windfall of votes from Scientology, combined with an overall very low voter turnout, is what allowed a candidate who lost the entire North Beach, the entire South Beach, Sand Key, and the entire countryside neighborhood to win the election anyway. And that's very good news for David Miscavige. It's very good news for Scientology. It's great news for Lena Teixeira, but it's very bad news for the people of Clearwater. Because that means David Miscavige now has Clearwater's political establishment exactly where he's been trying to get you for decades, which is completely beholden to keeping Scientology happy in order to retain power. Which is why I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that Clearwater citizens and voters keep that in mind. While Mayor Hibbard and Brian Ongst and David Albritton and Lena Teixeira go around extolling the virtues of partnering with a human trafficking cult to redevelop downtown Clearwater. A move that would guarantee to permanently destroy Clearwater's reputation around the world, but which would make David Miscavige very, very happy. So I have much more to say on this and not enough time to say it, so I'll see you at the next meeting.
Let's see what Mayor Hibbard had to say about that.
Well, we are very fortunate that we have free speech in this country, and everybody is entitled to their own opinions, but not their own facts. Obviously, Mr. Smith is very bitter because he lost, but his facts are really, really off.
What a guy, huh? I'll tell you what, if Clearwater does end up partnering with Scientology, Frank Hibbard, his legacy is not going to be the mayor who developed Clearwater Beach. His legacy is not going to be the mayor who got Imagine Clearwater to happen. Frank Hibbard's legacy will be the first and only mayor of Clearwater, weak enough and stupid enough to cave to the tactics of Miscavige and Scientology and to turn his city's downtown area over to a human trafficking cult. This is a guy, by the way, whose wife literally works with anti-trafficking organizations to raise awareness about trafficking in the Tampa Bay area. And this clown is ready to let the city get into a partnership with the largest trafficker in Tampa Bay. For all of these reasons, I am not very optimistic about the future of downtown Clearwater and Scientology. Downtown Clearwater will see some success. It will see some growth. It will see some commercial improvement. That is all but inevitable given all of the development that's occurring on the downtown bluff. But Frank Hibbard and city manager John Jennings are allowing Miscavige and Scientology to permanently brand Clearwater as Scientology Town. And that is going to permanently destroy the reputation of our city across the world. The fact is that the reason people think Scientology runs Clearwater isn't because of Scientology. They don't have the numbers. They don't have the membership to really be that effective in Clearwater as a city overall. The reason people think Scientology runs Clearwater is because of Frank Hibbard and all of his friends who are on Scientology's payroll. And I don't mean Scientologists who are on Scientology's payroll because they're staff members. I'm talking about Frank Hibbard's friends who aren't Scientologists and are on Scientology's payroll. Frank Hibbard, the mayor of Clearwater, his friends profit from selling Clearwater to Scientology. If Scientology does succeed in its takeover of Clearwater, it won't be because Miscavige and the Scientologists are just that smart and wealthy. It won't. It'll be because Frank Hibbard and his friends are really just that dumb, corrupt, and greedy. That's the mayor of Clearwater for you, folks. All right, everyone, that's all I have for now. Thank you for watching. Thank you to all of you who watched until the very end, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe right here. Bye.